Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, Corey and I are going to be giving you a list of our top 5 favorite video games. Just another fun one that we're going to kind of do a little back and forth discussion on. As you can see, the format's a little bit different. We have video now, just as we announced in the video prior to this that we would, kind of explaining all the new things that you can maybe expect on the channel. So this was a super fun video to make again. We had a blast, so hope you guys enjoyed as much as we did. Alright guys, for my number 5 pick here, I have Dead Space. Specifically the first one. I played the second one a little bit. I never got to play the third one, and they still had that same feel, but nothing just quite captured. Like, once you played that first one, the horror aspect is what gets you the first time. All the jump scares that are throughout the story, all the different types of necromorphs, all the different forms and stuff. There's some extremely creepy ones, some very scary moments. The actual fighting mechanics of the game are very interesting and different because it's mining equipment, futuristic space setting mining equipment. It's tools. It's not like guns. You have to like manufacture these tools and upgrade them as you go throughout. You get these stasis modules that you can use to like slow things down, or kinesis modules that you can use to like move stuff. There's just a lot of cool different fight mechanics that you don't normally see. And then it's also that thing of like, it's like Alien, where it's very claustrophobic and scary because you are the only one on this ship with all these dead people and these necromorphs running around. There's one person that's technically giving you like directions on where to go and what to do next. But they're not with you the whole time. You're in isolation the whole time, basically. You're by yourself, you're on your own. Pretty creepy. Definitely one of the better games that I've played in terms of atmosphere, or lack thereof, I guess.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that game. If anything, it's probably honorable mention now, since I already made my list. But I know our buddy Matt, he's the one that ended up showing me that game, and it came out of nowhere, because I had no idea what this even was, because he showed me playing it, and it's a pretty fucking horrifying game. I remember playing it, and we went over to his house, and he was like, "Yeah, I see this game, and let's play it." We played it, and I remember it was night, right? And he had all the lights off and everything. We had like maybe one lamp in the back, like turned on. It is the most terrifying thing ever. Like the jump scares this game produced, everything like that was insane. Surprisingly, I think even if I look it up now, I can remember how the game looks. The graphics even hold up pretty well to today. I can't believe I forgot all about that one. That's a great one.
The creature design and just the gameplay alone, like the animation style, like all that, it still holds up today.
Great thing.
Absolutely. So what do you got for your number 5?
My number 5, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. I never played any of their Assassin's Creed before this one going in. This one was just one that I was like, fuck, I'm into pirates. I'm into all that kind of stuff. I know my grandfather, he played it. And he told me to get into it and just check it out, see what's in. I was like, I wasn't a big Assassin's Creed. I'm 3 already behind, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to. What's good about this one is it stands alone by itself too, even though it's part of the entire franchise. This group of games is like so expansive on different levels. Where Assassin's Creed excelled was its freedom to explore, to maneuver buildings, and to do different types of stealthy kills, and just be free to kind of do whatever you want as like some kind of stealthy assassin. Is really cool, and the way this one branches from that is it takes that concept and then makes an entire explorative kind of story like on your ship, right? You can travel between islands, you can find different treasure based on islands, no hints. They kind of give you a very loose shit drawing on a piece of parchment that you just check out, and based off your own judgment how to figure out to get to that treasure. The ship battles are fantastic. The story, I think, was amazing. Overall, I think maybe my favorite part of it was there's parts of it where you're just you're sailing your ship across the sea, and all of a sudden your crew will just break out in a sea shanty, and it just for some reason that's why now I have no problem listening to sea shanties. I think I could totally do that just because all the nostalgia from that game. But that game solely definitely got me into the rest of the series. The originals were fantastic, and I think this one is the standout for me in this series.
I've never played any of these games, and they're ones that I've like thought about playing, but I've just never gotten around to it. But that's kind of one where I considered, because I had seen the other ones, and I was like, I kind of know a little bit of the setting. But then when they started getting really like outside of the box with like the settings and what time period you're in and stuff, that one was one that kind of caught my eye. And then actually with this most recent one, with the Viking setting, I've kind of thought again about maybe I should start getting into these and playing them a little bit. Just haven't gotten around to it, but I know they look amazing, and I'm sure the fighting style or the fight mechanics are pretty fluid from what I could tell from the gameplay I've seen. So it definitely looks interesting.
The other ones were cool too because you touched on real time periods in like the Revolutionary War or Civil War, whatever it was, and it kind of expanded, kind of loosely based on history, right? So those are cool, but I think these ones are a little bit just a little bit more fun to kind of get into, right? Nobody has any kind of history of too much, at least on pirates and that kind of shit, right? So this kind of takes that entire folk lore kind of thing of that, expands on it. It makes it super fun for sure.
All right, what do I got next on here? Next I have, when I was making this list, this is unfortunate just because of my top 3. This is where I had to put this one at 4. And a lot of people are probably going to be shaking their head at me because it's an amazing game. Sony's Spider-Man that came out a couple years ago is one of the best games I've ever played. I can't stress that enough. But just due to the nature of my top 3, Al Murphy, get out of here. I said I know people are going to have a problem with it, but I didn't think it was going to be you.
She's pissed, right?
But yeah, one of the most amazing games I've ever played, graphics wise, story wise. Like, I was in tears at the end of it, just of how good and that could be the story also, but the voice acting, and I think it's also a product of how well motion capture and like the facial expressions they're able to do in video games now. It's so advanced with the sensors they can do. Just the emotion you can convey in a video game and having people be able to actually, like real life actors, act and put that emotion into the character and it actually show through. It's not just mouth open a little bit, dialogue, and you have to kind of make up your own emotion out of it. Like, that was like, it hit me hard in the feels. Like, the last half of that game was just, it got really, really dark, but it was fantastic. A great Stan Lee cameo in the middle of it.
He was in the diner, right?
Yes, yeah, he was the guy in the diner, so it was great. The fight mechanics are, I would say, somewhat similar to the Arkham series for Batman. They're pretty close, very fluid. Sometimes it got just a little bit clunky, but for the most part, I loved it. There's so many combinations you can do. You can upgrade your abilities, the dodge features you can do. All of it was great. The story, everything was so great. And the only reason it's this low on my list, like I said, is just the nature of the top 3 and what all I've went through with those games. It had to be a little lower, but quality wise, it's A+, man.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut to the chase there. That was my number 4 as well.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I was going to put it lower too, but yeah, when I was going through the fucking list, I had my 4 picks for sure. Like the 5th one, Assassin's Creed, was the one I was searching for. But I was finding it hard to kind of balance which ones were going where. And ultimately, I think the other 3 for me were just more. It doesn't mean the game's any better or what, but for me, it was definitely a lot more fun for the other ones. But yeah, everything you said, Spider-Man was great. I think the story was great. I know that there was some video I saw on YouTube, or I think it was the game developers of Spider-Man 2, on like PS2, I think. Mm-hmm. And they played this Spider-Man for the first time. The game developers like gave it to them to play before the game came out, just to do the swing mechanics. And they're like, oh, holy shit, this is fantastic. Yeah. Because that was a nostalgia game too. When I played Spider-Man 2, that was the shit back then. Mm-hmm. And they were just blown away by the swing mechanics. Every little move, when he came off that swing, he might do a somersault in the air or a gainer, or he'll just do some twist. Everything's always different. It felt different, right? You swung next to a building, he would run along the building.
More like it was like a parkour thing they had, almost where they were, every time you did something, it would kind of be a little variation of a flip or a spin, or depending on what you were jumping off of, how far you were swinging, your velocity, all that kind of stuff. All the suits that you could get. So many, and DLC, for a lot of games, obviously you have to buy extra content and all that sort of stuff, but they did give you a few for free at least, and you could get the ones from the actual movies that have been out so far, which is a nice little touch.
Iron Spider was in there, everything.
Yeah, exactly. You could really customize kind of what you want to do when you're roaming around, depending on what version of Spider-Man you like, or from the comics as well. So that was pretty cool on their part.
They just made a fun game all around. Villains are great. The story overall, the character-driven area was fantastic. Yeah, so, well, that's technically my 4 if you want to do your 3.
For my number 3 spot, this one might be on your list too. I had to put it at number 3 just because of the sheer amount of hours I've put into this game on 2 different generations of consoles. Originally got it for the Xbox 360, and then I bought the PS4 version when I bought my PS4, which sucked because I had to start all the way over and redo all the side quests and everything, but that's Skyrim. The graphics and everything are still beautiful to this day. I mean, especially if you start to run it on newer platforms and engines and stuff. Looks really crisp. Tons of customization. Almost infinite side quests. I'm pretty sure you could probably never finish that game if you wanted to. I just played a shit ton of that game. It's super fun. Like, you can't play online with anybody, which kind of sucks. But I did get in like a party with my brother, and while he was playing with his character, and we just kind of like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm doing this. What are you doing right now? Just be doing our own little quests or whatever. Just lots of good memories of like when everybody got the game when it came out, obviously. It was just like we'd all just tell stories about like funny stuff that happened or like crazy bugs that we ran into, like glitches and stuff. So I had to put it that high just because of the sheer amount of stuff that I did in it. Like, I put so much work and effort and time into this game. As far as nostalgia goes, yeah, it's kind of right in the middle there for me.
Like, inside the case in the sleeve, it had like a map. So you just unfold this giant map. You're like, oh, I remember having it and just looking at this map. I was like, wow. I had no idea what the fuck it was.
I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better. Let me see if I can show you this real quick.
Oh, Jesus. Fantastic.
You see that on the wall?
Oh, yeah, yep. I think that's it right there. You have it.
It's probably backwards, but you know, I did frame it, and that's the one. It is not the original one for my Xbox 360 version, but yeah, when I bought the PS4 version, it did come with that map still. Obviously, I was like, that's a pretty cool freaking looking map. So I'm gonna put it. Yeah. I'm gonna frame it, put it down in my little nerd cave down here.
Yeah, Bethesda is such a fucking great video game company. I don't really know much about. Like, I know, obviously, whenever you get into it, you have Ubisoft, you have like Activision, you have all these different companies, but when it comes to Bethesda, they reveal that they're releasing a game. I pretty much know what I'm going to get. I'm a huge fan of all Bethesda games like Fallout, Skyrim, everything of that. And I think their world building is just great. They put a lot of detail. But I guess that is a good segue into my number 3, which my number 3 is Fallout New Vegas, so a Bethesda game. Fallout was great. I think about that one a lot. I'm actually currently in the middle of Fallout 4. I've been playing that one. But the thing about New Vegas that I loved is just the atmosphere of that. Like, you have an entire Mojave Desert. Same thing with Skyrim. Kind of it's up to you. Wherever you go, you could go. I could hit a quest early on, whereas you hit that later on, depending on what you're doing. The weapons in Fallout, the type of ammo, the creatures that you had there too, all of that just felt really surreal. I'm trying to think. I know one of the main antagonists the main antagonist in Fallout New Vegas was, I can't remember his fucking name now. You might know it. The guy that plays Chandler in Friends. I can't remember what his name is.
Oh, Matthew Perry?
Yeah. He played that, like, that, whatever his name. He's wearing, like, that checkered suit and everything. He's the one that, like, shoots you in the head in the beginning of the game and you don't die somehow. But
oh, gosh.
But yeah, same thing. Like, all of that, just the big world building of that was fantastic. And obviously the whole seeing Vegas after a nuclear fallout was pretty fucking cool too.
Yeah, I haven't really played much Fallout. I tried to get Fallout 4 and play it for a little bit, but I just got so pissed off at, like, just immediately when I was trying to do the main story, just side quests out the ass. And there's memes about it. I think the story and the world building for Fallout is really cool. It's a neat idea. It's like technically the 50s, like World War II technology, just a little bit more advanced, and obviously it's post-apocalyptic. You know, it's called Fallout for a reason. You know, it's a nuclear fallout, so it's this wasteland, and like it's like 50s looking technology, but it's newer. It's technically futuristic. It just looks like it has that 50s aesthetic, so it's really cool concept. I just, for whatever reason, I just can't get into it.
It's definitely a hit or miss. I feel like I've met a lot of people that are either into Skyrim or they're into Fallout, or you're kind of in that in the middle. I think I find it very rare where I find people that are into both. I love both. Skyrim, same thing. I had it on the old gen. I had it on my PS4. I got it on the fucking Switch, and I played on the Switch here too because they added it to that.
Yeah, right.
I think Bethesda is probably my favorite video game company, just strictly because of the attention to detail they put into stuff and the amount of like time you put into it. You can play these games for years and still continuing and still building from where you're at. It's just crazy.
Moving on to my number 2. This one was hard, honestly. Like, you asked me before we started if this was a hard list to do. It wasn't hard to think of the 5, but it was hard to decide which one should be first and second.
Yeah.
They were just so close. And I could make an argument for both of why I think both should be number 1. Ultimately, this one's number 2 just because of maybe like one more specific reason for the number 1. But my number 2 is Pokemon. You go through a region, you beat all the gyms, you beat the Elite Four, you become a champion. I have played through every game there's been out so far. I shouldn't say every game. Every region, at least one version of the game, because there's usually 2 versions that come out when a new region or when a new set of games comes out. There's 2 versions, and you can obviously do both if you want. There's really not much change to the storyline. It's more so like what Pokemon you can find. There's like version exclusives, like one will be in the one version, but you can't get it in the other version, sort of thing. So it's just up to personal preference, and usually the legendary is the other main difference. The box will have a legendary on it, depending on what version it is. Whatever version you buy is the legendary that you're going to get throughout the storyline, basically. Usually it all culminates with you catching the legendary right before you go to the Pokemon League. I started out with Fire Red, which was actually a remake of Red, which was the original Game Boy, like colorless first Pokemon game that ever came out. Red and Blue were the versions. I didn't even get into Pokemon. I didn't have a Game Boy at all growing up. Didn't have a Game Boy, didn't have a Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, none of it. I didn't get the one until... I'll show it to you real quick. I didn't get one until Christmas of whatever year these came out. It was the Game Boy Advance SP. I had originally only had like Super Mario Brothers 3 or something on it. Got a couple more games as time went on, and then at Walmart one day I saw Fire Red, and I was like, I've never played a Pokemon game. I want to play a Pokemon game. So I got that. Now to where I am today, I started playing a couple more as I got older. I started talking to other people who played the game a little bit, some of our friends that have played through them, and like you kind of figure out where to go, what to look for, all that sort of thing. And now I just love it. Anytime a new game comes out, I'm like, I get it in November usually when it comes out. Just play through it within a week. I still have some of my older console games. Like I still have a cartridge in that Game Boy SP. It's for Fire Red that I can play through anytime I want. Or I have Gold and Silver. I don't think those work anymore because they're the really old Game Boy Advance cartridges they're like longer ones like this.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, they have an internal battery that actually powers the game, and if that dies, then the game dies. So you can replace them, but it's a lot of hassle to do it yourself. You gotta like solder it and shit. I'm not into that, but and I have like a couple old DS games that I can still play through. But the cool thing about nowadays is you can play the ROMs of the game. You can download these ROMs on your PC. Sometimes you get mobile versions for your phone.
Rip the fucking headphones out.
And blew your ears off with that revelation.
Hurt like hell, yeah.
Yeah, you can play these old Game Boy games, GameCube games on your PC. Lots of great memories from these Pokemon games so far.
Yeah, definitely a solid pick.
What you got for your number 2?
So my number 2 is so this one is I think if I think about it, I think it's the first multiplayer one I've done here. This one is Call of Duty Black Ops. I was contemplating whether I was going to put a Call of Duty game on here because I haven't been into. I mean, I try my hardest to get into Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is always the same to me now, where I'm into it for like 2 months or so, and then I just get so pissed off at it. And whether that's skill-based matchmaking, whether it's same basic 3-lane maps, whatever it is. I'm speaking of multiplayer, of course. But I don't know what it is exactly. I can't pinpoint it. There's a lot of factors. But when I think of Call of Duty in like the prime time of like fun that I had, I know it was between 2 of them for sure, which was Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops. And I think ultimately I just chose Black Ops because Black Ops for me, I loved the COD point system, right? Again, I'm speaking about the multiplayer, but with the COD point system, if you remember, every time you finished a match, every time you did anything, right, you earned points. And as you progressed in levels, yeah, you got different weapons and different score streaks or different equipment and stuff like that. But then there was some stuff you didn't get from that, and you used your COD points that you've earned to get that, right? So somebody could have a weapon closer to the bottom tier, like a better weapon. Somebody could have different weapons that you personally chose not to get at that time. And I like that whole system, tokens, the coins, all that kind of stuff. And another thing I loved that I wish would come back to Call of Duty, and along with the points, was the wager matches, right? I love the idea of doing the wager matches. It's essentially like gambling, right? Putting your points on the line. If you do exceptionally well, obviously you get a shit ton more points than you would in a regular match. And if you do shitty, you'll lose those points. Those game modes were fun. Gun game, sticks and stones, one in the chamber. All of that was fun to me. And on top of that, I'm a huge zombies player too. I think Black Ops had the best zombies, in my opinion. It had a lot of the maps that are classics to me: Ascension, Kino der Toten, Call of the Dead. You had all these maps that were just fun, right? Like even the Pentagon, being able to play as JFK and just doing stuff like that and going through and fighting zombies and all the quips and remarks and stuff they made. That was fucking hilarious. And on top of that, the other mode obviously was the story mode. And I think it's probably the best story, I would say, in my opinion. And I know they had a lot of voice actors. Sam Worthington played Mason in there, and I think Gary Oldman was in that one too, and Ed Harris, I think too. Ed Harris was probably the other one. But it just had so much to it, right? And they brought a lot of people in. The trailers were always cool. DLCs were always super fun, right? They just had fun with it. You had a lot of different DLCs, like a fucking golf course that was a rehash of another map. Different DLCs that you could tell they were just having fun with. It wasn't made strictly for competitive. It was made for fun. And I think that's what I miss in Call of Duty. And I think that's why that one hit my number 2.
Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops are probably my 2 favorite games. I can't really choose between them because that was just such a great time for COD anyway. And you have kind of honestly the best of both of the production, the two companies that were producing the games at that time. So Infinity Ward does the Modern Warfare series, and then Treyarch does the Black Ops series. Modern Warfare 2, and I think everybody will probably make an argument and say that Black Ops 2 is the best Call of Duty of all time, and probably can't argue with that as far as like weapon balancing, map design, gameplay, multiplayer, all that kind of stuff. Competitive, even. A lot of the pros are going to say that's the best competitive game as far as like the maps and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Black Ops and Modern Warfare 2 are probably the favorite for me just because of just the friend groups that we had at the time that all played Call of Duty. You just go home after school and six of you get in a party and get in a lobby and just have fun. And those Modern Warfare 2 lobbies were rough, man, but there's some funny shit said in those.
That was way before things got nothing got monitored. I'm telling you, those are rough. I found out because of Call of Duty that everybody had banged my mom. I didn't know that, and that's where I found that out.
Yeah, so shout outs to the Modern Warfare 2 lobbies for letting him know.
Thanks, guys.
He was in the dark on that. So yeah, it was either the funniest stuff you've ever heard or the most traumatizing thing you've ever heard. That everybody would just, as soon as the game's over, everybody yelling at each other, like shit talking the team that lost, and the team that lost is shit talking the team that won, and it's just like so many racist and awful comments said, not by me or anybody that I know personally, but like you get some older, like 20-something-year-old in a lobby with a bunch of 12-year-olds, and he's just saying the worst stuff.
Get one kid showing up, just one kid showing up. It's like, hey guys, how's it going? Fuck you, kid. Fuck you. And you're like, Jesus, there's nothing. Like the kid just got in.
I thought I told your mom to put you to bed. That sort of thing. Yeah. But you know what? That's just some of the best memories I've ever had. Even though some of it was awful to hear, it was just it's so funny, and just that was a big part of my adolescent and teenage years is Call of Duty. It still is Call of Duty. I still play it. Me and you both still play it. And while it's kind of gone downhill recently here, that sweet spot of Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 3, and even Black Ops 2, that was like the sweet spot. Those like that 4 or 5 year span. Some of the best. And I will agree with you. Black Ops 1 had the best campaign. If we can come up with anything else to talk about, because that's actually my number one, was Call of Duty.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was the only reason that it beat out Pokemon was the multiplayer factor. And just the nostalgia of being with friends and getting in a lobby and playing with like a full team of 6. Just super fun. And just those memories of, being in grade school, high school, playing all that together. It's just some of the best memories I'm going to have for a long time. Since that was my number one, let me do some of my honorable mentions, and then we can do yours, honorable mentions, and get into your number one to finish it out. First one being Halo 3. I'm not really much into the Halo series at all, but I played Halo 3, got it for Christmas one year, and we had always played it split screen at someone's house, just like a private lobby. You just get in there, it's like 2v2. You can Halo jump and do all these crazy guns, and I would always find the rocket launcher and blow people up, and we have the Needler. That was always the coolest gun in my mind in Halo 3.
Needler.
It's so great. And then like Super Smash Bros. I guess I like Melee more than Ultimate, because that's just the one I remember playing on GameCube with friends as well. So that one was always my favorite. But Ultimate is really fun. There's a ton of characters to pick from all across all the Nintendo games and stuff. I do have two more. One is like I thought about not even putting it on here at all, but like Skyrim, I've put a ton of time into it, and that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. It's different from the card game. It's a mobile app on your phone. You can play it on PC as well. Like a lot of mobile games you can get on PC if you just download the Android app for it or whatever. But yeah, I've put a ton of time into that. You can play through as a ton of different characters. The last one I have is Injustice 2. The Injustice games are pretty good in general, but Injustice 2 is the one I played the most, I think.
So for my honorable mentions, number one on that would be Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 was great. I think the first one was amazing too. This one just kind of built even further. But the story is fucking good too. They got a lot of great voice acting. Overall, I think the game was just fine. I spent a lot of time on that, probably about as much as I would on like a Bethesda game. Other than that one, my number two would be 007 GoldenEye. It was my first fucking buddy shooter. That's the one that I played with a bunch of friends. We'd always like take turns, and I know we always played that. And I wasn't the best at the game. This is before I was getting great at the game, so my ass got kicked quite a bit. But that concept, I think that broke ground for a lot of multiplayer games now. And my number three is Arkham, the entire Arkham series. I love them all.
Yeah.
The great thing about the Arkham games is it feels like it's very detective style, right? It kind of puts you in that detective mind, like the greatest detective ever, Batman. It puts you in that mindset rather than just beating ass the whole time. Those games all together, I think, was just it was a fantastic story. My last honorable mention would be Dead by Daylight. I played the shit out of that game like crazy. I know that one's a game that a lot of people haven't heard of, but the concept is cool. Very basic. 4 survivors, 1 killer. Survivors can't do a thing except fix 5 generators you find on the map and try to escape. And the killer, obviously, is trying to hunt you down and kill you before you can get the chance to get out.
What is your number one?
All right, my number one, this was an easy one because I've talked about this, saying this is my favorite game. My favorite game, for sure, of all time that hasn't been beaten is The Last of Us. The very first Last of Us game. I haven't finished the second one, and talks all over the internet as people hate it, right, due to certain stuff that happens in it. I played a little bit of it, haven't beaten it yet. I will, but I don't hate the game, right? I think 2 is good, but 1, something about 1, whenever that first came out, I played that on the old system, and on PS3 I played it, and then I played it again on PS4. It has something that most games don't, and I think it's that heart, that heart you get from each character, like from both the characters, Ellie and Joel. You're on a journey with both of them, and it's not just surviving, because it's all following kind of a zombie out in a world that's 20 years after all this shit, and it's not just surviving that, it's little conversations they have here and there, little things that you do, like whether you're saving her or teaching her how to swim, and not really making that your mission along the way. It's that heart and that soul to where you truly care about these characters. But I think that is what is beautiful about this game, because it looks, not only does it look fantastic, but the heart of it is great. The dynamic and the gameplay of it itself, it all looks and feels good. It's going to be very hard for that to ever be beat, in my mind, at least, for my number one.
I've heard a lot of people say that that's the best game, or their favorite game of all time. Just from what you said, the story and the characters, it's just a very emotional and moving story to get invested in. So I think that's what does it for a lot of people. It's more so, it is a zombie apocalypse sort of thing, but
Yeah.
it doesn't feel, it feels more real than that. It's like relatable. Like, just the emotions kind of are very relatable. So yeah, that is a fantastic choice, and I can't believe I didn't think of that whenever I was thinking. I haven't played it, but I can't believe I didn't think of that would be on your list, because it's one of the most talked about games ever. Whenever it first came out, I was like, it's all over the place. All great memories from all these video games. That's kind of what the basis of this list was. It's all opinion based, but like what determined what my picks were in terms of ranking was just like how many good memories I have of playing it.
Yeah, I'm glad we did this topic, because this one's a fun one. This one I get to revisit, kind of like all these old shit. I haven't thought about a lot of these in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this was definitely a fun one for sure.
All right, guys, that's all we got for you in today's video. Again, super fun to make this video and just have a good back and forth discussion about all our favorite games and everything. So we had a blast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the new format, including our video with webcams, and then also putting some game clips behind us while we're doing kind of commentary on the games themselves. I'm excited to kind of keep coming up with new ideas and new inventive ways to make these videos a little bit more dynamic and engaging for you guys. So again, we'll try to do more of this type of stuff going forward. As we announced in the video prior to this too, we got a couple ideas coming up for the channel that we're going to be implementing. So just stay tuned and stand by for more awesome videos. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.